Hello, crafty friends and doll lovers. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Melody. Today, I'm here to share I think it's the sixth and seventh. Yeah, I think it's the sixth and seventh projects that I finished for the Freebie Friday challenge. And if you don't know what that is, go take a look at some of my prior videos where I talk about the personal challenge that I took this year. So this week was very productive and I learned a lot. So the first project I want to share with you is this Becky Bunny, and this pattern is designed by Plushico, and it is a crochet skill level easy/intermediate. Now, I've crocheted before and I have followed video instructions for crochet, but I've never crocheted from a pattern. So this was a new adventure for me, and I'm going to show you the finished project and then I'll tell you about what happened. So here is my bunny, which to me looks more like a teddy bear with long ears. And I realized I did not embroider the eyebrows. The pattern set called for super bulky plush yarn, which I purchased. It was the Burnett baby blanket yarn, and it says on 8mm crochet hook for the ears, which I think is a size 11, on a 5mm crochet hook for the main crocheting, and a 4.5mm crochet hook for the muzzle. Now, I use those sizes, but this is the size bunny I got, and the pattern says that the measurements are approximately 9 inches in height, with the ears is 20.8 inches in height. And so this is what I have. It looks big to me. I think it's bigger, which means that I'm probably a loose crocheter. I did not do a gauge swatch because I have a hard time identifying the stitches in crochet to count them, and especially with this plush yarn. However, the more I worked with this, the more I started to understand the stitches and the stitch formation. And I was actually able to count stitches by the time I was finished with this project. I also learned something called a magic ring, and that's how you start that's how each of these pieces, every single part, the ears, the arms, every aspect of this stuffed animal started with a magic ring. So I was an expert at it by the time I got to the last part of sewing this. I did not use the safety eyes because this isn't going to a child, so I used buttons. I couldn't find the safety eyes. It called for a size, I think, 10mm amigurumi eyes, and I didn't find any in the store. The closest, I found smaller eyes, and I found like 18mm, which would have been too big for this. But so I didn't make the skirt. As you can see in this picture, there's a crochet skirt. So mine is a Mr. Bunny, and Mr. Bunny has a tie, which was supposed to be a bow, but I realized that the ribbon was a little thicker and it wasn't easy to make into a bow, so I gave up and made it into a tie. So this is the first project that I finished. I started on this, I think Sunday. I showed you the ears in my last video, and I went, I think it took me until Wednesday. My goal was to have it crocheted by Wednesday so that I could move on to the second project. I'm gonna lay Mr. Bunny over here and show you the next project that I finished was this patch play. It's ladybug doll quilts. I really enjoyed this project. I enjoyed picking out the fabric. Didn't like the cutting the blocks part because I don't feel like I'm the most accurate when it comes to cutting quilt blocks. But I showed you, I'm going to try to insert a picture here, but I showed you the fabrics, and I ended up making a change at the last minute because when I put, it was the red fabric. When I put the red fabric, I cut everything out and I started playing around with the blocks. And when I put the red fabric in for the in the pattern where I wanted that particular color, the red really stood out. It's funny because when I held the red up to the fabrics before, it seemed to go well, but when I started actually configuring the blocks, the red stood out too much. And so I found this fabric in my stash, and after some rearranging, I decided to just not go with the red at all, and I went with this color green, which I had also in my stash already. Here is, let's move this out of the way. I was trying to figure out the best way to show this, so I'm just going to hold it up. Whoops. I'm going to hold it up, and I'm going to take it off of the bed. This bed I made, if anyone's interested, it is also a pattern available on the Pixie Faire website, and this is made out of PVC pipe. And if I will try to remember to link that pattern. I actually ended up cutting my bed to be shorter because of where I have it in my dollhouse. The bed was too long to fit into the dollhouse, so I ended up cutting mine a little shorter. But I'm going to take this off and then tell you what I learned on this one. So this is the entire doll quilt. 17 and a half by 22 and a half is the finished size. I didn't actually measure mine. So I was planning on using the red where I used the green, but instead I put the green in, and I think I really like how it turned out. I think it brings out the green in this print fabric here. I learned how to use my embroidery machine. I recently purchased the embroidery machine, and it's a learning curve. It's a 10 needle embroidery machine, and very intimidated by it. But one of the features in the embroidery machine that I have, it allows me to basically scan the fabric in, and then trace out, like for example, I would draw a square on the scanned image and then fill it with whatever pattern that's built into the embroidery machine. And one of the patterns was a stipple, and you can't really see it. I'm going to hold it up closer. And this other, I just picked a random pattern that had flowers. Looking back on it, I wish I had gone with either kept with the stipple all over, or reduced the size of this because I think you lose the design in these green areas, because I used a green embroidery thread. So here, let me see if I can, this is the stippling, and then I'm gonna hold that way. You can't really see, you can see it's flowers, but you lose a lot of the design. But I think it turned out pretty well. I just put a regular white fabric for the backing. I think it turned out well. I love the color combination. This is the pillow. I don't know if it was my interpretation of the pattern or if there's actually a mistake in the pattern. I don't know if my interpretation caused the pillow insert, which I'm not going to take out because I just kind of crammed it in here. The measurements for the pillow, when I sewed it together, the finished size of the pillow was way bigger than this pillowcase in width and length. So I ended up removing some of the stuffing and then just cramming the pillow in here. So I'm not going to take it out because it took a while for me to get the pillow in here. But I do, again, I love the fabric, the color combination. Okay, I am glad that the next pattern that was free this past Friday, I'm glad that that pattern wasn't released with one other free pattern, because this pattern, I'll show it to you. This is the First Impressions pattern by Thimbles and Acorns. This pattern is a historical, this is a 3-piece historical reproduction dress that includes a fitted bodice, 2-layer pleated skirt, and detachable bustle. And then there's a bonus instructions for a simple 5-panel skirt. And it is, okay, this is going to be labor intensive. I have to make pleats, and then there are a lot of pieces to this pattern. And it's going to take a lot of concentration and a lot of patience. I'm gonna be honest, y'all, this aesthetic does not appeal to me at all. I am not looking forward to sewing this. I'm just gonna be honest. It is way out of my comfort zone. But I am determined. I said I was going to do this, so I'm going to. I purchased 2 fabrics. I'm not sure how this is going to, I'm just not sure, y'all. I really, a lot of times I can kind of get a visual of what the finished product might look like. And in this case, I'm just not sure. The first fabric is this green, I guess it's a stripe. I thought it was a plaid. It's actually, I don't know. Maybe it's you can use the term plaid loosely as a description. But this is the striped fabric, and it's going to be used for this portion of the outfit. Now, I have been reading over this pattern and doing a little bit of research to hopefully help me with this pleating process. The pattern does describe that you can pleat the fabric to the stripe, or you can pleat it to the set, S-E-T-T, set. I had not heard of these terms before, and the pattern does define them. So in the sewing terms that are defined in the pattern, pleat to stripe is a system of pleating a striped or plaid fabric where the vertical stripe is selected and the pleats are arranged in a repeating pattern around that stripe. So this method visually alters the original pattern in the fabric. The pleat to set, it visually preserves the original pattern in the fabric. So I'm guessing that depending on how I pleat this, it's either going to be pleated where once it's pleated, it continues to look like this, or if I pleat it to stripe, whatever stripe I use, that's what the skirt portion is going to look like. So if I use this dark fabric, this dark stripe here, I guess the whole thing is going to look like that. Or if I decide to use this light stripe, the whole skirt's going to look like that. I'm going to play around with it and see what I come up with. But this is the skirt, and this is the bodice. This, I guess this is black. I call it Swiss dot. So that's where the polka dotted fabric is. I like the two together. I just don't know how it's going to look. This pattern, I feel, will be a great challenge for me. And I think I shared before, when I don't really like the aesthetic, it's hard for me to sew it. And normally I avoid that. But I'm finding, as I did with the swirl skirt pattern, that it's all in your fabric choices. And I love the fabric that I chose. So I'm hoping that that will make this project more fun for me to work on. I'm nervous because I have no clue how this is going to turn out. No idea. I know my goal is to finish it. My goal is to share it with you, good, bad, or indifferent. But it's a good thing that this is part of this Freebie Friday challenge, because if it wasn't, I probably would not have downloaded this pattern. I would have been like, nah, that's okay. Anyway, have any of you decided to follow along with me with your own challenge? Maybe you've downloaded the patterns, you're downloading the patterns with me. And if you are attempting this, and it's not, maybe you can share with me some things in the comments. If you decide to try this pattern along with me, please share in the comments. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.